morning, everybody. I am pleased to call to order the November 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Note the presence of all three commissioners and that Mr. Soltesiak is joining us remotely this morning. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Dr. Bastecki-Perez to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start with opening commissioner comments. Commissioner Lawrence, do you have any?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're up. I have none. It's all you.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. This is the last meeting before the election, so this will be my last announcement about the upcoming election on Tuesday, November 8th. As you should hopefully know by now, voters will be selecting U.S. senators and representatives to Congress, Pennsylvania governor and lieutenant governor, all of our state representatives, and half of the state senators if you live in an even-numbered district. Voters will be able to cast their ballot via absentee ballot, mail-in ballot, or in person. All absentee and mail-in ballots must be returned by November 8th at 8 p.m. Postmarks do not apply. To help voters meet the election deadline on November 8th, if you have not already mailed your mail-in ballot in, we recommend that you use one of our 12 secure drop box locations to return your mail-in ballot. And these drop boxes are available daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. through November 8th. Each box is monitored using CCTV video surveillance, and voter education staff will be on hand at each drop box location to assist voters with proper ballot return procedures. Ballot drop box locations are in Cheltenham, Lansdale, Lower Merion, Norristown, Pottstown, Royersford, Skippack, Upper Dublin, Upper Frederick, Upper Merion, and Upper Moreland, and are listed on the Voter Services website. And per the Pennsylvania Election Code, voted ballots may only be returned by the individual voter and not by any other individuals. If you are ill or have a disability, you may fill out the appropriate form to designated agent in your household to deliver your ballot to one of our drop boxes or to our Voter Services office. And if you received a mail-in ballot and you are no longer interested in voting by mail, you can bring your mail-in ballot to the poll and have it canceled, allowing you to cast your ballot in person. Or if you don't bring your mail-in ballot with you, you will be allowed to vote provisionally in person. Once it's determined that you have not cast your ballot by any other means, your provisional vote will be counted. And all polling locations are all set unless we have a water main break or something like that. So you can check your polling location, and all information about voting, sample ballots, polling locations, drop box locations, designated agent if you have an illness or disability, and general information. You can visit www.montcopa.org/voter services or contact Voter Services at 610-278-3280. And I see our district attorney is here with us today. On Monday, he announced an election tip line, and that's for anyone to use if there's any voter intimidation that you see at a drop box location or at your polling location. And you can call 610-292-2022. That's 610-292-2022, and that's the election tip line run by our district attorney's office. And finally, on the election, I see a lot of campaign yard signs out there. We do have a campaign recycling drop-off program, so you can bring your campaign yard sign from November 9th through the 15th at participating locations during their normal operating hours. Most of the locations are at township and borough municipal buildings and will accept paperboard and plastic as well as metal stands. And for all the locations, you can visit www.montcopa.recycles.org. Next week is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. It's actually November 12th through the 20th. As you know, the fall and winter months can be especially hard on our most vulnerable residents. So I would like to ask anyone who is able to support the following programs that will help them get food, clothing, and other critical needs to stay warm and fed during the colder months. The Montco Anti-Hunger Network and its pantry members have been responding to unprecedented demands due to COVID, Hurricane Ida, and soaring food prices. Please consider making a monetary donation at www.montcoantihunger.org or you can send a check to Monco Anti-Hunger Network, P.O. Box 1086, Lansdale, PA 19446. Your donations will go towards the purchase of large-scale food resources, food deliveries, food storage, and interpantry sharing. And our Office of Health and Human Services is still holding its Thanksgiving food drive, which will run until Friday, November 18th. Non-perishable boxed and canned food items are needed in addition to $10 or $25 gift or e-gift cards. More information about what is needed and drop-off or mail instructions can be found at www.moncopa.org/HHS donations. And finally, the Your Way Home Initiative Fund is fundraising to provide blankets, coats, socks, medical supplies, and other basic needs for those experiencing homelessness. Donations can be made at www.yourwayhome.org. And the Norristown Hospitality Center will be holding an event, One Night Without a Home, to help raise awareness about growing homelessness crisis in Montgomery County. One night is an opportunity for housed persons to spend a night outside the Montgomery County Courthouse to discuss, think, and learn about homelessness. You can register for this event at www.yourwayhome.org. And thank you for your support of our residents in need.
Thank you. Okay. Then we will move on to announcements and presentations. And today we're very happy to have Dr. Victoria Bastecki-Perez, President of the Montgomery County Community College, to give us an update on the Community College. And I also want to acknowledge Board Chair Sylvia Fernandez. Thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you, Chair Okush, Vice Chair Lawrence, as well as Commissioner Gale. As Dr. Okush said, I'm Vicki Bastecki-Perez, proud President of Montgomery County Community College. On behalf of the entire Monco family, our Board of Trustees, students, faculty, staff, and more than 90,000 alumni who work and live in Montgomery County, our region, and the Commonwealth primarily. Today, I want to provide an annual update to you about some of the exciting things that are happening as Montgomery County Community College inspires, leads, and transforms future generations and destinies. Next slide, please. As you may recall on previous times that I've had the honor of presenting to the commissioners, I've shared with you our year of belonging in 2019 and 2020, where the college rallied around inclusivity and advanced our work in equity, diversity, and belonging. In 2021, we celebrated a year of learning for all, from our students, which is fairly obvious, to our Board of Trustees, our employees, and our communities. And this year that I'll be sharing with you in the 2021-2022 year in review was a year of outcomes. And this is a year that's particularly important as we recover from the pandemic, as we continue to operate, and most importantly, thrive as an integral part of our economic development and workforce. This year in 2021, we kicked off our strategic planning process for 23 to 27. We engaged in facilities master planning for 23-33. We continue to look at equity, diversity, and belonging, and looked at our workforce, ensuring that we were able to meet the ever-changing needs of our students, and making sure that our work advances Monco 2040. Next slide, please. In our year of learning, we clarified our values, ensuring that we had not only 21st century values, but those that were evergreen, making sure that we show empathy and demonstrate trust, transparency, and integrity and accountability, that respect is top of mind, continue to innovate and ideate using the greatest talents and our human capital resources in this county, and obviously to educate, to advance equity and opportunity and social justice in all the communities we serve in this great county. Next slide, please. In our 2021 year in review, we talked about equity, and the evolution of our equity statement, going beyond just equity for our students, but really ensuring that we're providing equity for our students, our Monco employees, and also all the communities that we serve. This has enabled us to elevate the work, the good work that we've been doing at Montgomery, to ensure that we have intentionally designed experiences for all who we serve, and celebrate the intersectionality of our rich demographics in this beautiful county. Next slide, please. Simply by the numbers, in 21-22, we had the most number of graduates at Montgomery County Community College, more than 1,600. And if you think about that, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary because these individuals persisted and endured a pandemic and an endemic, and that we were still able to graduate a record number of our citizens. We also had nearly a third of that class still first generation, just like myself. First generation college graduate who had the opportunity to have an impact, become educated, not only transforming their own lives, but their family and our community. You'll read in the annual report about my inauguration as president. And one of my imperatives as number 6 was to develop 6 student scholarships for first generation students. My husband and I established the first presidential scholarship, and we asked our foundation to continue the campaign. We have 11 scholarships totaling more than $340,000 to help support this first generation population. And in 21-22, we established the first community college honorary society, Alpha Alpha Alpha, to recognize and support those first generation graduates. We're the only one in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and one of only a few to be with colleges and universities across the nation. I'm also particularly proud that 24% of our graduates represented students of color, that we are really beginning to see the transformation of lives for all. We also had, by the numbers, our total economic impact for fiscal 22, almost a $500 million in contribution, whether it's through our operational spending, construction, student spending, and our alumni impact. That equates to 5,552 jobs supported in this county because of Montgomery County Community College. And the return on investment continues to be wise. For every dollar invested by our taxpayers, they will receive a cumulative value of $2.20 over the course of the student's working life, not just one time, over the entire life of that student working. And that averages about 5% in ROI. Another important notable is the societal gain in added income, and more importantly, in social savings of $8.6 per dollar invested. Next slide, please. There were so many inspiring collaborations that we realized in 21-22 at Montgomery County Community College. We launched the first Challenger Learning Center in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to inspire youth to pursue STEM fields. To date, we already had over 1,000 youth come into that facility in a month and a half. So we are on a trajectory to make powerful impact for the K-12 students. Our Advancing Monco program, where we will be able to, through the support of our ARPA funding through the county, a $1.75 million investment in tuition assistance, particularly for an evening nursing program to help support the workforce shortage in that particular area. We also are opening very soon, which is the picture in the middle where looks like a tree growing in the middle of a room, a student wellness center at our Pottstown campus. Again, with the support of the county and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we were the only college and university in the Commonwealth to receive $1.1 million to advance our work, not to start work, but to advance our work with students to help support them with mental health and health services beyond the scope that we were doing now. We also are redefining what apprenticeships mean at Montgomery County Community College, an earn to learn model where students have the opportunity to be full-time employees, such as with Aon Corporation, and be able to pursue their associate degree simultaneously while having full-time employment, full-time benefits, and a career pathway with opportunity for advancement. We continue to be a community partner with the FEMA disaster recovery. And yes, we celebrated 25 years in Pottstown and continue to change that community every day. Next slide. We were beneficiaries of federal stimulus of more than $31 million. A lot of that funding went to meet our student emergency needs, our community members that needed support not only academically, but with food, utilities, technology, and other important essential needs to help support those students continuing in college. The college also worked very closely with the Montgomery County Office of Public Health, and I give a shout out to Dr. Lorraine and his team for helping to support a safe community at Montgomery County Community College. With our stimulus funding, we have looked very deeply on how we deliver instruction, how we continue post-pandemic to keep our community as safe as optimally possible. We've invested in airflow, air quality, ionization, new standards of cleaning protocols, among other that we have sustained and used our funding. Next slide, please. As a leader in student civic engagement, we were recognized as the highest 2020 student voter registration turnout among two-year schools. We also, once again, were designated a friendly campus for student voting. We received excellence awards, and importantly, not only do our students register to vote, but those that are registered, 87% actually take the step to vote. Our numbers continue to elevate, and we were recognized by Acting Secretary of the Commonwealth, Leah Chapman, as she did a tour recently to promote voter registration. And she selected Montgomery County Community College, in addition to two other universities, on her tour to actually meet our students and engage with them to find out why voting was so important and to help those that had yet not registered to vote take that step in real time. Transforming the educational experience and what you will see at Montgomery County Community College coming soon. Our Student Wellness Center, as I mentioned, at Pottstown opening. We'll be having a grand reopening of our Science Center at the Bluebell campus. You can see an image on the far right of our new theater, our expanded theater, which will be used not only by our students, but also for community engagement. The theater now will be able to accommodate more than 500 members of our community per show. And its high fidelity will also be able to meet all individuals in our community so they can experience live performance. Also at our Pottstown campus, we have a green space trail project. We have our South Hall, which is the primary academic building, which is being renovated, that has a unique Science on the Sphere exhibit again, which will engage not only our college students, but also engage our full community in education. We also had an earmark through Senator Casey's office to install the Voyage Mark II solar system exhibit. It will run down the street in Pottstown between our Hanover building and our academic building in South Hall. Our Hospitality Institute grand opening, which is the lower image on our Bluebell campus, will be moving the Culinary Art Institute in Towamencin to a new center in Bluebell. That center will not only have culinary, hospitality, and baking and pastry, but we're also expanding the portfolio to connect with the needs of the county. We will be providing education in nutrition, fermentation science, among many other credit and non-credit and community engagement offerings. And we're also going to be very soon starting to upgrade our athletic fields on the Bluebell campus, increasing not only the safety and wellness for our athletes at the college and our students, but also to be used by our youth in the community. So we're very excited about these different initiatives and hope you'll be able to join us in engagement opportunities. And finally, I want to personally thank the commissioners for their ongoing support of Montgomery County Community College. Our mission at Monco is to improve lives at all ages and stages through education and the intentional design of every experience. I hope that you'll take a moment to look at our 21-22 year in review. It is in a digital format located at mc3.edu, and it's also available on the UR code provided during my presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bastecki-Perez. It's really incredible to see what's happened, particularly in these last couple of years with all the challenges that our entire community has faced. So congratulations on those graduation numbers. It's fantastic. And I just want to emphasize how important the community college is as an institution to this county. It creates opportunity for students who want to move toward that higher degree, whether it's a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. It does so in a way that is incredibly cost effective for our students. And I am so grateful for the holistic way in which you approach your student body, making sure that everybody feels safe and welcomed and comfortable there, has the tools that they need to learn, whatever kind of learner they are, and you really walk the talk on that to make sure that people have what they need, whether it's a learning tool or some extra food to take home with them that night, or help with childcare, because so many of the learners are our parents. So thank you for your work, and I'm just wondering, what challenges do you see ahead in the next year or so?
Well, the challenges that we have is to continue to be able to provide those comprehensive supports and to really respond to the ever-changing needs of our student demographics. We continue to work very closely with the county on what the jobs of the future are and make sure that our portfolio is fresh, relevant, and effective in meeting the business needs in this community. It's equally important for us to work with our business community, because we know if those businesses stay in Montgomery County, we will all thrive.
Yeah. It's such an important part of our future workforce that comes from the community college, and I'm particularly happy to see the apprenticeship programs taking hold and really looking forward in terms of what those workforce needs are. So thank you. Really appreciate your being here today.
Dr. Bastecki-Perez, it's always a pleasure to see you. Varsovia, thank you for your leadership at the board. So I was on campus a few weeks ago for a 5K, so I got to see all of campus because it was a 5K. It looks great. I can't wait to see the hospitality center. It seems like that just sprang out of nowhere and going, and I think that's going to be great to have that right there on campus. Congratulations on those graduation numbers. That is absolutely incredible that during the pandemic that people kept coming, and I know that you'll have to work very hard and do some pivots there and to make sure that the students had the resources to do online learning and coming back. So thank you for your leadership at the college, and thank you for the report.
Doctor, I'd also like to thank you for this year in review update. Certainly 2022 was a busy year and productive year for the college, and I had the opportunity to attend the grand opening of the Challenge Learning Center in Pottstown, and that's truly a great asset to have in Pottstown. It's state-of-the-art technology, and I'm glad that's being utilized by the community. Again, congrats on the largest graduating class. That's very exciting for the college, and I look forward to next year. I know the 500-seat auditorium's coming, and a lot of advancements. So you're doing a great job, and I appreciate all you do for the benefits you bring to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. All right. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware that next Friday, a week from tomorrow, November 11th, is Veterans Day. And this morning we are joined by our Director of Veterans Affairs, Dennis Miller, to give us a few updates. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, Mr. Stein, fellow residents. I'm Dennis Miller, like you said, Office of Veteran Affairs. Note to self, don't follow Dr. Bastecki-Perez on any of these presentations, so put me down for that. Montgomery County Community College is also 400 veterans strong, which is, that's a regiment. That's more than the crew of an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. You should all write that down, just so you remember. But that's a lot of veterans, and they do a lot for our veterans, and we know that, and thank you. My staff, my office, we're a small group, 6-person staff, including myself full-time, 4 part-time personnel as shuttle van drivers. We work with over 60 partner agencies and veteran service organizations. So far for this year, we processed over 1,200 federal, state, and local claims, over 750 shuttle van sorties. Sorties are one-way trips, that's how we count them, because sometimes our riders are admitted to the hospital. And we generated over $3 million in benefits for residents from state and federal funding. We also employed a couple of specialized teams. The Veteran Response Team, working in concert with the VA and the Office of Mental Health, Office of Public Safety. We have 39 officers from 14 police departments that are specially trained to do wellness checks for veterans and suicide response and prevention. These officers, they themselves are military veterans. We also employ a multidisciplinary team with over 30 agencies to manage our toughest cases, and I'm going to talk about one of them for a minute. But that's about my office. I want to talk to you about Veterans Day. The 30th of, and just to clarify, 30th of May is Memorial Day, Veterans of the Past. The 31st of May is Armed Forces Day for those currently serving. No one really makes a big deal out of that, I'll be honest with you. We pay attention to the birthdays for different services, such as June 14th, the Army. No Army in here. October 13th for the Navy. November 10th for the Marine Corps. September 18th for the Air Force. December 13th for the National Guard, the granddaddy of them all, when you think about it. And August 4th for the Coast Guard, which is the most important one. Because I was in the Coast Guard, so it's the most important one. And I didn't mention the Space Force because they're kind of new. They really don't have any veterans yet. We think next year. But Veterans Day is a time to show veterans their service and sacrifices are not taken for granted. Visiting wounded veterans and supporting events to ensure they get what they need to live full, healthy lives is a great way to send a message that veterans are appreciated above and beyond just a thank you for your service. A couple of stats here, according to a 2021 study from Brown University, and this is interesting. Veterans with disabilities is higher among post 9/11 veterans at 40%. Gulf War veterans, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, 25%, and 13% for other conflicts like the Vietnam War, 40%. Our main job in our office is to secure benefits and get disability ratings for those veterans and to support other members of the veteran community, such as surviving spouses and eligible children. But here are some ideas to celebrate Veterans Day. Visit wounded veterans. There are 3.8 million men and women who served since 2001 that have a service-connected disability. The reason I'm saying that is, without getting into people's business, if there is a veteran that you know that's post 9/11, there's a chance, almost 0.5% chance, that they're struggling with something, and reach out to them. Get involved in your local community. I always get asked around this time of year, are there any events coming up for Veterans Day? Yes, there are too many to list. But if you reach out to your American Legion or VFW locally, they have something going on. They all have an event planned, and tailor which one that you want to go to. And if you don't want to do that, educate yourself about veteran issues. any federal VA website, they're pretty informative. There's also an organization known as Veterans Brotherhood that we rely on a lot in the county for homeless vets. They have a film coming out called The Journey Home. You could find that online. The Bryn Mawr Film Institute has a great movie that they're going to show a film. I guess if it's a film institute, it's a film and not a movie. On the November 10th at 7 p.m. called Hell or High Seas, got a Navy vet, PTSD. And the other thing you could do is help raise awareness about homeless veterans. Immediately following Veterans Day, like Commissioner Lawrence said, the National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week is November 12th to 20th. Today we have 17 actually homeless veterans in Montgomery County. It was 18 yesterday. How do we know this? We track that. They are the top priority in the homeless population. And my office tracks and manages cases for all of the homeless veterans that come onto our radar. So it's about 18 right now. We had an interesting case about a month ago. William, not going to say his last name because there's probably laws against that, but William was a blind, wheelchair-bound 83-year-old homeless veteran living in Norristown on one of the trails. And he fell in the Schuylkill River. He was trying to wash up, fell in the Schuylkill River, was too weak to get out of the river. Norristown PD heroically responded, got him out of the water, got him to a hospital, and with the help of the Parks, Trails, and Historic Sites Department, we were able to place him into a home. Now, what did the park rangers have to do with it? They've been working with the homeless veterans and the homeless for quite a while now, doing humanitarian stuff just on their own. It's beautiful. But William he's a Chestnut Hill Lodge. It's a home. He's doing great. But that was interesting. I wanted to share it with you because, like I said, my office, we don't work alone. We're doing a canned food drive as well, but we're going to do it through March. It'll be on social media. We work with the Veterans Coalition of Pennsylvania. 100% of what you give to the Veterans Coalition of Pennsylvania goes to veterans. There is no overhead or anything like that. What we're asking is your organization to collect your organization, so it'll be by organization, to collect these cans and bring it to us, and we'll get it to the Veterans Coalition of Pennsylvania. We're also going to do a veteran holiday greeting card program, also on social media. A lot of veterans lonely, they lead insular lives. Trying to reach out to them would be a good thing and get them connected. On that slide, I really didn't pay attention to the slides, I'm sorry. The holiday, Montco 10-4 helpline, teamveterans@montcopa.org is the way to get in touch with us. That's talk or text on the helpline, and if you email that email, you get my entire staff. That being said, we get about 70-something phone calls a day. Things have been busy. We will get back to you. All of our calls are triaged in order of severity, but we get back to everybody. And that's it. So thank you very much.
Mr. Miller, thank you so much for that update. And I just want to underscore one of the things that you said, which is that your office can connect people to benefits. And I think there's so many veterans out there who actually have earned benefits that they may not be entirely aware of, and that you can really help people figure that out and connect them to benefits that they have earned and are currently going unused. So I certainly want people to reach out to the office and see if you have any questions, if there's opportunities there for you.
Thank you, Mr.
And I also just want to announce that there's a national effort this year across county governments to participate in Operation Greenlight for Veterans, and we will be participating and lighting our courthouse screen next week in honor of our veterans. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna.
Mr. Miller, always good to see you. I always appreciate the passion that you bring for your work. I know it's not just a job for you. Can you talk a little bit about the 17 veterans that you've identified that are homeless and what's being done to make sure that we get them into a shelter?
We are, our job is to work with veteran providers such as the Veterans Multi-Service Center and the VA, federal VA homeless outreach team to try to get them into transitional housing and into permanent housing. There is a shortage of housing, so that has a lot to do with it. The other thing is veterans, oftentimes we don't want help because we think that there's someone out there that wants more help. the street outreach team for Veterans Multi-Service Center and Access Services. A lot of this is getting them back indoors. They're just not comfortable accepting services. It's a big stigma among veterans that if I take it, there's someone else worse off than me. And it's like, no, you're living outside. You're 73 years old and you have health issues. For example, you're the person in need. But we review their cases every week, if not every day, and we cajole them and try to coach them into care. That's what we're trying to do with them, trying to get them permanently placed. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Over the last several years, I've had countless number of constituents contact my office requesting assistance with navigating the VA system or enrolling for the shuttle to the VA hospital, and I always refer them to your department, and I can't thank you enough, and I'd like to ask you to, when you go back to the office today, to please extend my gratitude to the staff in the VA's office here in Montgomery County for always responding to their needs. You're doing a great job. You explained the triage system, prioritizing who needs assistance on their need, to meet their needs on a level of importance, and it's working, and I know the constituents are grateful for it as well, so I just think it's important for the staff to be aware of that.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a great staff and great partners. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is District Attorney Kevin Steele to talk about a gun turn-in opportunity. Good morning.
Again, I appreciate you having me back. It's only been a couple weeks. We had a very successful drug take-back program, and I think that is in due to large part of so many people getting the word out on that. We actually got a little less this year than we've had in the past, and I take that as a step in the right direction. I hope it's because there's less out there, and we've really focused on this year-round to make this happen. So today, I want to talk about a service that we're going to be providing to our community that is really targeting two separate arenas, but I'll talk about a third. Over the years, we've heard a lot from young families that there's a gun in the house, and that they want to get the gun out of the house with children around. So we have a couple more serious posters, this time out, and I know it's on the board, but focusing on, gun safety and making sure that there's not an ability for a child to get hold of a gun, because too often we see the tragedies that occur from this, and we want to make sure that those that want them out of the house can do it, and we'll melt them down so they're not going to be back in circulation in any way. The second is something that we hear, and I've heard from you, Commissioner, that there has been kind of an outreach in this regard, and oftentimes a loved one dies, and they have weapons in the house, and people are not sure what to do with them. So we focus this and hope that people will talk to people in those communities that may want to take those guns out of the house. And again, this is not a buyback program. It's not anything like that. It's simply those that want the guns out will provide this service. They'll be melted down. They're not going to end up in some type of tragedy. So the third area I just addressed very briefly before focus on some of the specifics on this, it is for teen parents. We're seeing too many cases involving teens and guns. I'm going to be talking about one today in Abington with D.A. Weintraub and Pat Malloy from the Abington Police Department, and people putting guns in the hands of criminals. But I need people to be focused on this and making sure that if there's guns in the house, get them out, and get them where we can destroy them so that they don't cause some of the violence that we're unfortunately seeing. If you could go to the next slide, Kelly. Just to focus on some of the specifics here, we accept any unloaded firearm. We're not taking magazines, clips, or bullets. If you go to the next slide. We've done this 2 other times. We did it in 18 and 19, and you can see the variety of different type of weapons that were brought in and were destroyed. So I hope that we'll be even more successful this time, particularly with the number of guns that are out in our communities. And I really appreciate you all helping me in getting this word out. So where are they? Kelly, if you go to the next one. We have 12 police departments, and this was strategic. We got overwhelming support from our chiefs all over Montgomery County to do this, but we wanted to make sure that we had places throughout the county so that it would be easy for people to get to all these locations, and again, in some of our more highly populated areas too, like Abington and Lower Marion, and we also were joined this time by the Pennsylvania State Police and their skip-back barracks, which is pretty central to the county. So I'll finish up with the last one again, and it has all the details of the event. I appreciate you all allowing me this time to get the word out about this, and we hope that those 2 dates of November 16th and the 19th, we did it after work on a Wednesday, and then during the morning hours and on a Saturday, to try to make it as convenient as we could for people that want to take advantage of this service that we are providing. With that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Well, thank you, District Attorney Steele. I think this is a really helpful thing for many members of our community. I approached you when we first talked about this about a month ago, that I've had seniors who've had a spouse pass away, and maybe that spouse was a hunter or just enjoyed shooting at a range, and they've got multiple firearms and they have no idea what to do with them. And so I think opportunities like this are really helpful for people to safely dispose of firearms that they no longer need or want. 2 questions. If a person can't come to one of these events, is there another way, another opportunity?
Yes. I mean, people can contact their local police departments on things, and we'll try to work with them on it. This is very organized in this way, so that we can work quickly to get the guns out of the police departments where these are, and then get them destroyed. So this is a collaboration with all of these police departments that are involved, as well as our county detectives that are participating in, to make sure that it's safe. And that's also the reason why we're not taking bullets or magazines and things like that.
And are there could you address some of the privacy concerns that people might have, bringing in a firearm?
Such as?
Like, are you asking for ID or gun registrations or anything like that?
Look, we're trying to provide a service to folks that want to get guns out of their house. So if they have guns in their house and are bringing them and doing this, I'm not going to say no questions asked, but we're trying to do a service for people in our community. If they're not registered or something along that lines, that's okay. Just get them into us so we can take care of that.
And is there a safe way to dispose of bullets and clips if someone has those?
They are potentially, the part of the reason, on bullets, when you're melting them down, you can't throw the bullets in there,
right,
too, under those circumstances. So
that would be a bit of a problem. That's why I'm
that
asking.
causes an issue on things.
We understand.
So we try to avoid that type of thing. So we don't need any other tragedies here. So,
Yeah. So for now, just hold on to them.
Yeah, hold on.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
I have no questions.
You have none?
No further questions.
Okay, well,
I have a question.
okay. Yes.
First of all, congratulations on the successful drug take-back events. I heard positive feedback on that.
Yeah, and Commissioner, we're up over 100,000 pounds that has been taken since that we've been doing it. So, you know, that's a lot of drugs that aren't
Certainly is.
in people's hands.
So great job on that. And my question was answered, other than the November 16th, November 19th, what can constituents do if they would like to dispose of a gun? And it's contacting their local police.
Yeah, the local police departments are really the go-between in this, and they've done it for a long time for people in their communities because you know that sometimes people are scared of the situation, and you know, particularly young families, kids get into things, teenagers historically, you know where a family keeps guns, so you know it's a service that we're trying to provide. So,
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate your
Take
being
care.
here. All right, next up, Mr. Bonner to give us an update on the American Rescue Plan Recovery Office work.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having me this morning. As you mentioned, I'm going to provide a brief update just on the work progress of the Recovery Office. And I appreciate Ms. Co-Francisco moving these slides along, so I'm going to say next slide. One of the last times I was here, we were publishing and adopting the final recovery plan, which outlined, as you know, the full allocation for 112 projects across the $161 million in state and local fiscal recovery funds as authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act. Since publishing the final recovery plan, we in the Recovery Office have moved into the implementation phase for these 112 projects included in the plan. Next slide, please. As you would recall, the process that we followed for establishing the final recovery plan, started in September of 2021 with community priorities being established. We ran an open submission process between March and April. We assembled the draft plan, published it for public comment, had meetings with individual applicants, and then the final plan was adopted on August 18th. What I'm showing here is simply a representation that we are now in the phase where we are working to facilitate completion of those projects. What that actually means is project planning, funding distribution, and compliance, meeting individually to facilitate next steps, right? So some, as you know, some of the partners that we have funded are ready and have projects that are either underway and they've done many grants like this before. Others, and this was an important goal of the program, have never had a grant like this. And so we're working to set up everything from financial tracking systems and management systems to project management. We've had productive meetings across the board in Norristown and Pottstown and throughout the county with individual stakeholders regarding how to best move forward with each of their projects. Next slide, please. And this will become, this slide and the information contained therein will be part of what we're doing now, is reinventing what we're displaying on our website, and this will be steadily displayed on the website at all times. Obviously, we're at the very beginning stages, and so in the parlance of the expenditures, we have obligated $161 million across the 112 projects. So as we've been saying, that's the final recovery plan, obligating those funds for the purposes outlined in that document. At this point, we have encumbered $6.5 million, which means we, in the Montgomery County, have distributed funds from those SLFRF, from that allocation 161. We've distributed that to the final destination in the community partners. So 2 projects, and a few weeks ago you heard from Acclamo about their acquisition of their property. We also funded acquisition of a property for the YWCA in Pottstown. So as of now, we have distributed $6.5 million in funding, which is what we're calling encumbered. We are anticipating, through our processes here, that we will initiate the process for distributing funds for 12 more projects, and their initial payments totaling $1.6 million by next Friday. And as of now, what is expended, meaning what has been spent by those entities that we have distributed money to. So both Acclamo and the YWCA moved to acquire the properties in pursuant of their project plan, which means in a truly transformative investment, we have actually expended $4.1 million of the American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purposes of investing in community centers in both Norristown and Pottstown. The YW project will also include, as will the Aclamo project, will also include construction, fit out, and programming for those spaces, and so that's where the extra funds are. But as of today, they have acquired those properties, and therefore those funds are expended. Next slide, please. So what's next? As of today, and I apologize, Ms. Francisco, are you able to click on the link on there? I don't know if you can. I just wanted to show that this is available on our website. The Small Business Grant Program will go live on November 14th. So the application will be open as of November 14th, which it's fine if it doesn't come up, but it is available on our county website. All of this information that I'm explaining today is available on our county website. So as it says here, cash grants available soon for small businesses with a focus on minority, women, and veteran owners. The application portal will open on November 14th. And I appreciate this, Kelly, if you can just scroll down a little bit, because what I'm going to cover, and what I'm emphasizing here is that we are communicating steadily through the website in addition to what we've already had up there and the resources that we have available. And so you'll see here, obviously the initial recovery plan, if you can scroll up a little bit, I'm sorry. And then the additional $5 million, we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then there is actually a Hurricane Ida disaster recovery fund that we're going to talk about as well. Simply showing that this information is consistently available on our website. I appreciate that. Ms. Francisco, if you can flip back to the PDF, please. And so the Small Business Grant Program allocates $2.65 million for the focused on minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. Up to $20,000 will be available to qualifying for-profit businesses in Montgomery County, which are either A, located in a qualifying community of Pottstown and Norristown. You'll recall from our submission processes that we are required and appropriately focusing on the qualified census tract as dictated by grant guidance. Those are exclusively located in Pottstown and Norristown. Or, and this is throughout the county, any business that can show a financial loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And our application is designed to collect that information simply and easily so that we can very quickly turn these checks around. Criteria-wise, businesses must have 50 or fewer full and part-time employees and earn under $500,000 in annual gross revenue. And businesses owned by socially and economically disadvantaged groups are especially encouraged to apply due to the disproportionate impact of the pandemic on those businesses. Next slide, please. What else is next? So we are also working on scheduling the initial program for the Norristown Community Facilities Plan. So we will be reaching out to stakeholder groups to get those meetings scheduled. I do want to be clear that we are initiating that process. That will take us into next year, but we will be distributing the overall plan for that project and scheduling those meetings. We will be finalizing county managed programs. We've had, extremely productive dialogue across our county colleagues, whether it's the Office of Behavioral Health, whether it's our Office of Housing Community Development, whether it's our Planning Commission, about what comes next, how to do the projects that were submitted through the process and building those plans. Specifically, just as an example, our behavioral health program in schools, we will be implementing that in time for schools to adopt that into their budget process for next year. Most of the work we do at this point is to make sure that we are executing all of those 112 grant agreements and processing the distributions to get the checks out the door. And so what that means is our team is consistently engaged in making sure that people understand what they're on the hook for, they understand what they will need to do, and we understand what they need to facilitate the highest, best use of their program. Next slide, please. I also wanted to focus on the community engagement aspect of the Recovery Office mission. We are continuing to build on the community engagement channels and relationships that we developed and deepened during the ARPA process, which we've talked extensively about in this room and elsewhere. Next slide, please. And what that's meant is that, for example, on the 26th, we had a community services conversation co-hosted in partnership with the Asian American Healthcare Coalition, which again had hundreds of attendees, had county staff as part of it. It was focused on building relationships between county staff in the offices that are directly related to dispensation of healthcare in Montgomery County. We look to educate AAPI leaders and residents about available county services for a variety of issues, needs, and to help the other way, to have that meeting help inform ourselves and our fellow colleagues in the county to understand the barriers to meeting service needs. Obviously, it was a high participation event. It was a success. We are continuing to do that, right? So this group or others, we are scheduling these types of meetings and making sure we're connecting through the channels that we develop. Next slide, please. So what's next for community engagement? As I just mentioned, we're about to talk about a slew of new initiatives that have come across the Recovery Office, our staff desks. We're implementing what I'm calling this background engagement. Sometimes I refer to it as this machine that needs to be just running all the time, right? Setting a steady schedule for consistent touch points across the county so that it is not, for instance, an event to say, well, we need to let people know about this. The idea is that we're always meeting with people and we build into the schedule when we meet with them what is happening and what's new. We are also going to be directly engaging around pandemic recovery fund projects, as I mentioned, in Norristown and Pottstown, and facilitation of these broader community projects, many of which are included for smaller dollar amounts, but with high impact in the recovery plan. Those include emergency medical service studies, premium pay for emergency medical service employees, food security initiatives that are seeking to sort of transform the infrastructure of food security in Montgomery County, a call center initiative. There is significant and novel investment included in the recovery plan for housing. And so what we are doing at this point is meeting with those stakeholder groups, and there are many of them, to make sure that we're moving through in an informed way. And we'll be documenting this as we go. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, there are new initiatives that have come to the Recovery Office in keeping with our mission and purpose to facilitate other funding and community engagement initiatives. And I'm just going to go through a few of those that we have here today. Next slide, please. So as I believe many of you know, that Montgomery County, as part of the opioid settlement statewide, is receiving $31.5 million over the next 18 years as a result of the settlement case with pharmaceutical companies. Our team has been coordinating the county cross-sector team, which, as you can see here, includes our departments of public health, our district attorney's office, our office of mental health, managed care, our corrections facility, our department of public safety, our departments of probation and parole. We are also collecting, in keeping with the model that we've established, community feedback and data by running focus groups and having this conference event. This is all things that have already happened. And then the idea is that we're identifying these priority issue areas and understanding what is the best, highest use, strategic use of this funds as we move forward to make sure we're coordinating with initiatives that are ongoing. Next slide, please. Similarly, our County Office of Housing and Community Development was awarded and is managing a $5 million home separate from the normal home grant program that's promulgated through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This was authorized through ARPA, and because of that, it comes with additional requirements for community engagement. So our office is assisting in fulfilling those requirements for public engagement and data analysis. We use our ARPA model again to increase the normal public engagement. Our office conducted a survey with 71 responses in 2 languages, ran 2 town hall events, approximately 200 people attended both of those. And then in keeping with, again, the model that we've already established, the draft allocation plan will be published for public review and comment in keeping with not only best practice, but also the requirements of the home ARPA program. Next slide, please. The Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program is, to be clear, fully run by the State Department of Community and Economic Development. But they have requested assistance in making sure that we are engaging with the public here in Montgomery County. And so our office, in coordination with DCED and our county's Regional Development Authority, facilitated town hall events with 137 participants, and we continue to stay in touch with them, although our role is exclusively to facilitate that sort of community participation in defining how that's done. As that keeps going, we'll be refining what exactly that means. Next slide, please. And so in general, just listing those again, we are also tracking and continue to work through the guidance that comes through, as does our Planning Commission, with regards to the bipartisan infrastructure funding and the more recently passed Inflation Reduction Act funds that will, again, have these types of programs. And as we do that, I mentioned earlier that we are in the process of updating our website to make sure that it serves the purpose of being a transparent portal for the pandemic recovery funds while being a resource for these other initiatives. And I think that's all I have for today. I'm happy to talk through any questions, but that's what we've been busy with downstairs.
Well, thank you for that update. It's great to see the money actually going out the door. It's been a long process, and all of which was, intending to result in the money actually going out the door and enabling our partners in the community to make these transformative changes. So very excited to see that we're now underway, and just appreciate all your work. Any challenges that you've run into at this point or so far?
No, and honestly, and this is a credit to our offices here at the county. So our solicitor's offices, our controller's office, our treasurer's office, working through the process, our office of finance, making sure that we have those controls in place that represent, what we need to do on the county's end, both from the guidance from the grant and from our own practices, and our job is to marry that into the policies and procedures of each of these subrecipients, is what technically they're called. And so I think we appreciate that work. We also appreciate the subrecipients bearing with us as we establish these documents and promulgate them to them, and they review them, and we come back for revisions. So I would say it's taken, a little longer than we anticipated, but at the same time, the challenges are good ones, and that we're getting good results out of the other side. Let's put it that way.
Good. All right. We'll look forward to future updates.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We will now move on to public comment. Mr. Stein, do you want to go over the rules, please?
Absolutely. All speakers should sign in to the meeting sheet available in the back of the room or virtually as indicated by Ms. Co-Francisco. All speakers must come to this podium if they're physically able. Speakers should identify themselves by name and municipality. Those seeking to speak during the time set aside for public comments on items appearing on the agenda must state the specific agenda items they wish to address. Those seeking to speak during the time set aside for general public comments must identify the subject matter they wish to address. All public comments must be relevant or germane to county business. Under the law, this means that the subject matter of all comments must be limited to items or issues which are currently before the Commissioners for consideration or which may come before the Commissioners for consideration at a future meeting. Whether a matter is germane to county business is a determination to be made by the county solicitor. Time limit of 2 minutes will be monitored, and county staff will respectfully request speakers to conclude their comments if the speaker goes beyond the time allotted. The board is not required to respond to public comments during the course of the meeting, so the public is reminded this is not an opportunity for dialogue or questions and answers. The board chair may direct appropriate county staff to follow up on any questions or additional comments after the meeting. Disruptive behavior, including, but not limited to, yelling from the seats, arguing whether a matter is germane to county business once the solicitor has made a determination on such, refusing to yield the floor once time has elapsed and being requested to sit down, shall be grounds for removal or muting from the meeting without further admonishment or warning. And as always, the Commissioners welcome written correspondence, comments, and feedbacks at commissioners@montgopa.org.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. All right, we will begin with public comment on matters appearing on the agenda. And as a reminder, please state the agenda item at the top of your comments that you are commenting on.
Okay, we have a few folks in the room who have agenda item comment. First, we have Giuseppe Carini-Monticelli, who has agenda item M1 and 2 and N1.
Giuseppe Carini-Monticelli, CRANEY-MONTICELLI, Conshohocken Borough. My public comments could be on M1 and 2 and also N1. Also, I want to add L2 as well. I start off with M1 and 2. I believe that we should have some sort of transparency. I believe that this is associated with the courthouse construction. We should have some transparency going on in terms of we need a town hall. We need to know what's going on and what's each individual different phrase is set up, and we need the public to comment about how they feel like the current process is going, if they have any input they want to give you, kind of like the town hall for election town hall, but at least this time make sure it's not one or two for information and being cut off at the hour. I want to comment about N1. Why we need this computer equipment? What's this computer equipment? Something I find a lot that happens is you look at the agenda and you don't know what the theme ties to. You don't know until it's read out. And by that point, you guys are already voting for that. It would be nice to know, for example, here with L2, I object to that as well. What bridge? Can we find out what bridge that is prior to the vote? Information like that typed up on the agenda would be nice, or at least a supplement PDF that would accompany the agenda. But no, I'm gonna have to object for the bridge maintenance because quite frankly, I don't know what bridge. And I mean, 765, they're doing some pretty substantial work. I would love to know what work they're doing as well. I will conclude my comments with that.
Next. Okay, next we have Pauline Braccio, who has comment on item D, number 3.
Good morning, Pauline Braccio from Talmenton Township. Actually, when I went out in the hall and I spoke to DA Steele, he did answer the question that I had, and I can understand why that question probably should not have been spoken publicly, but it just seems to me that, I don't know, I just feel like if you're defunding the police, so, and they're only given 2 days to do this gun turn in, and I just think that it's kind of counterintuitive. Why would anybody want to turn in a gun if they could be found out for a crime they committed? First of all. Second of all, why don't we just fund the police so they can have better training and they can do their jobs better? I don't understand why you are taking money away from them by not increasing the budget. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. You know, well, the other party is going to be the general, but still, you are funding this humongous building and you're lessening the police force. So it's like, why have this building? You know, it just doesn't make sense.
Again, just a brief reminder, the county doesn't have a police force, and your comments should be related to.
What did you say?
The county does not have a does not have a police force.
I'm talking about all the police collectively.
The county doesn't fund police forces.
Well, yeah, you do. Okay, so I don't know why you're saying that you don't. Because if DA Steele and the Sheriff Kilkenny can come up here and ask for money and you say no, well, then you are, yeah, you're not funding them. Exactly right. Thank you.
Ms. Braccio, just as a factual matter, because I understand your concern, you should take it to the people that can address it. With 50 municipal police departments in this county, plus the state police who cover part of the county, the state obviously funds the state police, but the municipal police are funded by the municipalities that they cover, not by us. All right, next.
Next we have David Morgan with agenda item comment for M1 and 2.
Good morning, I'm David Morgan from Ambler. I'm commenting on agenda item M, $2 million of contract renewals involving Skidmore, Owens, Merrill, and Skanksa. As in the case of the maintenance building J1 last month, this is another example of high spending that the citizens, whether renters or homeowners, cannot afford. We are dealing with over-the-top inflation. Just look at grocery prices going up double digits in a year. I'm here for the residents of Munco. The only way this expense could be helpful would be to use it for downsizing the $50 million or more off the cost of the Justice Center. However, there's still no, to my knowledge, has been any town hall for this expensive project. I wonder if the $232 million spent in one meeting in August 2021, when a lot of us were not here on vacation, could be stretched to meet the cost to complete phase 2 by 2024 project end. Due to overspending in Washington, we are facing not only inflation, but way higher interest rates. Refinancing, a sizable source of your income, is drying up. Who wants to refinance at 7% now in their house? With rising construction costs and future HVAC costs, et cetera, operations, you could really work hard to control this project so it's more affordable for taxpayers. You who always tend to spend, Commissioners Arcouche and Lawrence, don't seem to have considered the great savings of work from home or maximizing use of the buildings we have. Don't waste another opportunity to get ahead of the costs so we don't face tax increases for a third year in a row. I continue to urge Commissioner Gale or any of you to proactively schedule hopefully with your colleagues, town halls with ample notice to the public. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna keep on agenda item comment from our folks that are logged in. We do have a comment on D4 from Adrian Seltzer. You can now unmute. Again, Adrian, if you just want to unmute there.
Okay, I did it.
Morning.
Hi. I wanted to know how much of the ARPA funds that are going to help homeless, food insecurity, how much of that will help the people that are currently homeless in Norristown? I know you don't answer questions like that, but providing tents is not quite enough for winter time unless you're going to line them with fur, and I doubt that's going to happen. So I want to know what's going to be done with the money that you currently have from ARPA and the state to help those people right now. I know Commissioner Lawrence asked for contributions to these organizations that do help, but with all the money that came in through ARPA, that's really to help people affected by COVID. How much of that, what percentage is going to help these people? I also wanted to thank Commissioner Lawrence for his information on the elections. Thank you.
If we can have somebody from the recovery office follow up with you on the details of that. You can see the buckets on the recovery office plan, and you can actually see each of the individual grants and where they're going within those buckets. And if you have additional questions, we'd be happy to have somebody follow up on the additional details.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, next we will have Suzanne Stepanek, who has comment on agenda item D1.
Hi, my name is Suzanne. That's S-U-Z-A-N-N-E, not Susan. Stepanek, S-T-E-P-A-N-E-K, Upper Salford Township. And my comment on D1 is, well, congratulations to everybody at Montgomery County Community College on whatever they're doing. But I'm here to say that I'm in opposition to us paying for that in our taxes. I'm retired. I paid for my own education, and I resent having to pay for other people's education through this tax. It may seem like a small amount of money to you all, but when you're retired, nothing's a small amount of money. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, I just want to make sure that everybody understands the situation with the community college. As a county with a community college, we are required to pay to the cost of that community college. Community colleges in Pennsylvania are funded 1/3 by the state, 1/3 by the county, and 1/3 by tuition. So taxpayers in Montgomery County have always been paying a portion of their tax dollars to the community college. We thought it was important and to increase transparency to pull that out on the property tax bill so that residents can see where their tax dollars are going. But it has always been the case since the community college was founded here in Montgomery County that taxpayers have paid about 1/3 of the cost of the community college.
Okay, we're gonna move to general public comment. We'll start back with our folks in person, first with Crystal Gilchrist.
Good morning.
Good morning. I sent information along ahead of time, but I do have hard copies that I want to leave with you all of what I want to talk about today, because in 2 minutes, I'm not going to get a chance to really talk about it all. Here's some for staff. Thank you. Good morning. It's good to see you all again. My name is Crystal Gilchrist. I'm a resident of Lower Frederick Township, recently of your Planning Commission, and recently retired. My comments today reflect both on the ARPA update that Mr. Bonner gave and a reference he made to the Hurricane Ida Recovery Fund that he really didn't go into. And I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to fly. last September, Ida came through. We all know the devastation that came from that. My experience as a planner in the region for 35 years, as well as a one-time executive director of the Perkiomo Watershed Conservancy, gives me a unique perspective on stormwater in the region. And I wanted to talk to you all about a request that I have been pushing for the last year. And if you want to turn to the last page, you'll see the request. We'll cut right to the chase. I'm requesting that the counties of Montgomery, Bucks, Berks, and Lehigh County undertake a comprehensive, multi-county coordinated stormwater management plan for the Perkiomo watershed, Perkiomo Creek watershed. It's a 352 square mile watershed. It's huge. It goes into 4 counties, and if you look at the map, you can see how it forms a funnel where all the major tributaries except the Skippack really converge right at Schwenksville and barrel down through the watershed. The next page shows you a graph from the U.S. Geologic Service, the gauge at Graterford. During Ida, and that is marked on the graph there, the gauge maxed out, and it maxes out at 70,000 cubic feet a second. And if you do the math, 70,000 cubic feet a second equates to 7.5 million tons of water an hour. Okay, that's my request, that we move forward with the ARPA funds and with the Hurricane Ida request. I am at your disposal to work on this at length. I've already spoken to your Planning Commission. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Giuseppe Craney Monticelli for general public comment.
The topic.
Topics, we start off with Mako Mamas. Giuseppe Craney Monticelli, Conshohocken Borough. So I'm in favor of Mako Mamas. I don't know why we didn't have a program like this earlier. This is awesome that we are promoting the growth of African Americans in our community. As we all know what Margaret Sander's position was to set up those Planned Parenthoods, especially outside of Arizona State University. Prime location. Well, it's glad we have Mako Mamas helping these young African American mothers through pregnancy, making sure they have a full pregnancy and a very healthy one. Second thing I want to talk about is of how, the election town hall, I put out last meeting, maybe we could have another to, before the election. Seems like that's not going to happen, unfortunately. That's a shame. I was really hoping for that. And talk about lion lease or some type of fur on the tents. It was a shame to hear about this veterans being homeless and on the trail. Well, I got a good plan. Once this construction project is all set up, I'm telling you, we're going to have space inside that new courthouse. Just put them in there. You can house them temporarily, put these homeless vets in there. That's what I would say. And I have a prediction. Josh Shapiro is going to win, and congratulations, you're our new health secretary, Dr. Harkush. Thank you.
Next we have Pauline Braccio for general public comment. Topic is Justice Center.
Pauline Braccio, Tomlinson Township. If Shapiro wins, it's going to be because you cheated. But be that as it may, I'm praying that he doesn't win, because Pennsylvania is going to go straight to hell. As far as and the example, one of the examples of going straight to hell is all the money being wasted on this building. Okay, the judges don't really judge. Okay, either they are, whoever wins paid them more money. So if you have a defendant and a plaintiff, one has more money than the other, all they have to do is pay the judge, and they're the ones who win. Or the judges are threatened by the powers that be. If whoever they want to win, the judges are ordered to have that person found guilty.
As we've discussed before, the commissioners don't control the judiciary.
Yes, they do. Please.
I have an objection. Ms. Brascio is allowed to speak. You're going to interrupt her
You're
minutes?
currently interrupting her time right now.
You were. I'm grateful that Giuseppe is helping me out here. You need to stop. And also, 2 minutes is just not long enough.
Keep your comments germane to county business.
It is. This is county business. You're having a commissioners' meeting. What can be more county business than a commissioners' meeting? And you're doing it horribly. People should be allowed to ask questions. People should have more than 2 minutes to speak. And the fact that you keep interrupting people and using up their time is pathetic, to say the least. There's no reason for that building. And I think Giuseppe is correct. We should put the homeless in there. You don't even know what it's like. You have no idea what it's like to be poor. You have no idea what it's like to be homeless. And you just don't care. So all these programs that you think you have are not really doing the job, are they? If you still have people camping out on the trails. So, you know, all these things that you think you're doing, look at it again and do better.
Next we have David Morgan. General comment topic is inclusion.
David Morgan from Amber. My general comment is about inclusivity, as mentioned by our president of the community college, in events scheduled in the future. As for today, the opening remarks that Commissioner Lawrence gave could have been rotated to others from a different political party. Show us how you can be inclusive in points of view, that you can have chairmanship of the election board as a shared process with everybody who's running for office. My second point is about the next meeting. It's the anniversary of Montgomery's presentation last year. Please include them again on November 17th. This is a life-saving program for mothers and babies, promoting successful birth outcomes, especially in the Black community. Now that we have ultrasound, we see the wonder of development of the unborn child who moves around and has fingers and toes 8 weeks in the first trimester. These dear persons of Montgomery County, these unborn children, are valued by Republican candidates Doug Mastriano, Dr. Oz, and Christian Massimeno, to name a few. We need to keep in mind the phrase, loving them both, with excellent care for both mother and child. Include the unborn. Also, next meeting, it would be good for public comment to be expanded 5 minutes after commissioner comments and 5 minutes including questions after the 2023 budget year proposal is presented. The public needs to know not only the Justice Center costs, but also how well the DA office is funded so police get enough support to reduce crime. We have learned by last year's budget hearing from the DA that county staff assisting 50 police departments was down more than 30. This is the staff of the county for supporting the police departments. I'm not talking about a county police force.
Mr. Morgan, your
Yes.
2 minutes are up.
Perhaps employees could be transferred to help meet this shortfall. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Next we have Stan Casasio. General public comment topic is election information.
Thank you for Stan Casasio, White Marsh Township. How you all doing? I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak again about a matter which I believe no true American can be against, and that is a free, open, and transparent election process. We have no democracy unless we have those ingredients. As you know, I've submitted in the past names of registered that should be cleared off our rolls. Title 25 of Pennsylvania statute covers election laws, and 1901 clearly states that the National Change of Registry Bureau data is one of the data points that can be used to clean the voter registration rolls. I would like to submit to you audit the vote general election for 2022. There's a copy for each one of you. I suggest that you look at it. In that data point, which, as you know, this is an acceptable point for them to clean the voter rolls. To make it quick, the report there shows that almost 250,000 people listed in Pennsylvania registrations throughout all the counties are out of state. Our OSS is stated there. Of that total, 50% of the OSS registrations are active, which means they have voted in the last election even though they're not in the state. In Montgomery County specifically, you will see in the report, we have almost 15,000 people on the voter registration rolls. And of that, 2.5% of those people, or 5,000 voters, are listed as active out-of-state voters, which means they have voted in past elections. The ramifications of having an out-of-state registration on our voter rolls means that there are still that questionable voters can be used by fraudulent people to file votes. Now, I don't want to point fingers at Democrats or Republicans at all. Both parties have been complaining about elections since 22 years, which, if you all remember, the hanging chads that we went through for several weeks. But I will say this, that doing something is very important. You have to create coalitions. I'm tired of hearing Act 77, my head's ready to explode about it. Let's just do something to do it. Election.
Sorry, you're 2 minutes short.
Can I just take another,
Second
I got
objection.
another half a minute, 30 minutes, okay? And this is an important issue,
I apologize, but everyone gets 2 minutes.
yeah, so.
When something is this
And you're welcome to
important,
submit
you should be
additional
allowed-
information.
Yeah, I could just close by saying, look, the election should be based on performance of the
That's it.
parties in
Sorry,
power.
we gave everyone 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Make it 5 minutes and they're gonna be
Next.
happier.
Okay. Now we will move to, we do have one other person in person, and then we'll move online. Ali Sherbany has general public comment on housing and spending.
Well, Jesus did say, there is no fool amongst us. So the things that are being said, there's an element of truth in them. It was nice to hear Mr. VA, because he was talking about homelessness. That's a hopeless problem. And you're right, the cost of living is, it's insane, and it's affecting construction prices, which is why rent is more expensive than it ever has been, right? So those things are true. Thank you for the opportunity, commissioners. Some of you already know me. I've been in here a couple times. My name is Ali Sherbany of the Norristown Company. We're trying to get work done with the county. Our focus has been to address housing affordability, quality, and public spending. County residents and our government are too dependent on the federal government. The county is functioning at nearly 800% debt to income. We're on the verge of public insolvency. Debt to income or debt to GDP is, we have to reevaluate that number because it's based on serviceable income or income that you can use to service debt. So we can work together in offering residents high-quality living space that is solely based on their income, right? Addressing the cost of living situation. The high offset the low, promoting a reintroduction into the labor force because wages would be now more livable, right? Easing pressure to raise minimum wages. Lessen concentrations of poverty, which is a challenge for a lot of communities. Kids are growing up, they're born, they come straight from the kingdom, they come out into this world, and they cope with why things are the way they are, right? Because that's a reality. People of very little hope are living in these concentrations. And again, it reduces the cost of living, it lowers public spending, and contributes to public budgets, right? We're spending money, it's going out, and it's not coming back in, and we're borrowing that money, giving it out, and we don't have the capacity to repay it. Our hope is to formally present and propose a partnership with the county to resolve these challenges in a way that does not jeopardize public finances. So, Mr. Solicitor, I understand we're not able to ask questions, but my hope in all of this is to organize a public presentation for a commissioner vote on a potential partnership. Okay, so yeah, so hoping for an answer. Maybe you can get back to me with an answer.
Sorry, your 2 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple folks online. We will start with Tara Houseal. You can unmute and just let us know your general public comment topic.
Yes, good morning. This is Tara Houseal, Houseal from Lower Pottsboro. I wanted to have a shout out to the veteran organization from Dennis Miller this morning, and thank you very much for your hard work, Dennis, to bring attention from one vet to another vet for all of the vets. Thank you. And I would also like to say thank you to my fellow residents of Montgomery County for bringing attention of our voter rolls. It is ridiculous that there could be people on the voter rolls who no longer live here, who have passed away, this should be a regular occurrence and it should be rectified. I wanted to let you guys be reminded of these ballot drop boxes. I, again, have no confidence in them. People are putting in multiple ballots, and the comment at the beginning of the morning was that they were secure. How are they secure if people can walk up and dump as many as they want? How come there's not a public service announcement on all of the buses going around town and on all of the street corners, how to vote, how to be a citizen that does good for its community? It's one person, one vote on election day. Come on, 1776, and we screw it up in 2022, 2020, 2018, 2016. I yield the rest of my time. I'm just perturbed that this is a complicated process for such an easy thing to do. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say people are absolutely not dumping multiple ballots in the drop boxes.
I witnessed it as
People
a
are
watcher.
absolutely not dumping multiple ballots into the drop boxes.
You're lying.
Next we have Angela Fretz. You can unmute. Angela, are you there? Okay, Angela, we'll move on to someone else, but if you want to try to test your microphone or fix that issue, we'll come back to you. Next, we'll go to Suzanne Stepanek. You can unmute for general public comment.
Yes, my comments are about drop boxes. In these meetings, I have repeatedly requested written procedures for the chain of custody of Dropbox ballots. I have been a Dropbox watcher volunteer during this election cycle, and I wanted to say we are not allowed to record or take pictures of anything at the drop boxes, but the Dropbox attendants are taking pictures of us, and they're recording our license plates. They are also taking pictures of our family members if they come to visit us while we're on duty. This is intimidation, in my estimation. So mission accomplished on that. Dropbox ballots were supposed to be picked up at 8 p.m. after closing, but I've personally witnessed pickups at 6 p.m., 4:10 p.m., and 3:55 p.m. This left ballots that were received after those times to sit in the boxes overnight unattended. Drop boxes are outside. They're not locked inside buildings at night. They are covered with plastic covers like you would have over your grill with a zipper, and the only security is a small combination lock that connects the zipper tab to the plastic cover, not to the box and not to the ground, which makes it appear that the cover could just be lifted off without even touching the lock or zipper. Not having any documentation in hand on processes and procedures, any questions asked of the attendants were met with refusal to answer, leading to the sense that obfuscation is intentional. This lack of transparency is engendering confusion and a lack of trust in this process, which leads me to my conclusion that drop boxes must not be used in the future elections. We have to button this mess up, or we will lose the country that we grew up in and love. Thank you.
Just want to say the ballots are not left in the boxes overnight. Ballots are never left in the boxes overnight. They can be picked up during the day periodically, but they are never left in the boxes overnight.
Next we have Adrian Seltzer for general public comment.
Hello. Adrian Seltzer, Lower Merion. I am a judge of elections, and I'm pretty familiar with election law. And the people that are coming on saying about how people from other states can vote, well, there's actually federal and state laws that go and look for, and enforcement that looks for people who do that. That's how they found that representative in, I think, Virginia voted in 2 states. So there is enforcement happening. As a judge of elections, when someone comes in to vote, it's only if they haven't voted like for several years, they become inactive. If they are inactive, they have to show identification. People who come in to vote also have to sign their names. We also can see their age on those voter rolls posts. And if something looks weird, we ask for identification. And then we give the voter a chance to change their signature in the book so they don't have to be questioned again. As far as mail-in ballots and the drop box, each ballot has an individual barcode on it, which identifies it. In fact, mail-in ballots are more secure because you need to submit your ID to actually apply and get a ballot. So the red herrings being tossed about in this meeting are just that. So I want to thank you. Bye.
Next, please.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to Angela Fretz to see if you are able to speak. Angela, I do see your comments here in the chat, so I'll make sure that that gets entered into the record. We don't have, we're not able to hear you if you're speaking. All right, and we do have one other person. Let's see, Jamie Mogo. You can mute now for general public comment. Again, Jamie.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jamie Mogul from Lower Merion. This is general public comment with respect to really the elections. I've spoken before. I'm an attorney and election expert and current president of the League of Women Voters of Lower Merion and Narberth. And again, my message is pretty simple, and that's to say thank you. Thank you to our poll workers, our county commissioners, the county staff, and particularly the voter services staff, Dory Sawyer and everybody. You know, I'm grateful that we are in a county. This is not just as president of the League of Women Voters, but as a voter myself, that we are in a county that works to count every vote under the law of which is very confusing. We just had a court case today. So many of these comments, you know, the issues and confusion, the wanting to have answers, that is not the county. The county is trying to navigate insurmountable obstacles that have absolutely nothing to do with the county's choices. Drop boxes are legal, but even that, it's disappointing that we've had to expend resources, taxpayer money, to staff these drop boxes due to those who flat out don't want people to have options to vote other than election day. This was legislation that was passed for vote by mail for any registered voter, and I appreciate that the county has done everything, including the satellite offices. It was great. I was here in Lower Merion and in the Narberth office. So again, thank you very much to everything you're doing, despite this changing legal landscape and partisan attacks. The only fraud in voter fraud is perpetuating that there is voter fraud. We need to do everything we can to get people to vote. So thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Cofrancisco. All right, we will move on to approval of the minutes. I will move to approve the October 20th, 2022 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative votes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. All right, we'll move on to resolutions. First, we have Treasurer Salus with adoption of property tax penalty waiver provisions. Or maybe we have Mr. Caldwell.
We do indeed.
Okay.
My apologies, Treasurer Salus couldn't be with us today. And I'm going to be very brief because my role today is really to introduce to you a person who is an expert happens to be our expert a tax claim, but an expert in delinquent tax collections. And in addition to that, is an expert in general property tax collections for municipal and county governments. And that is Alex Glassman who represents us on the Tax Claim Bureau. So I'm going to let him explain the Act 57 and the the resolution you have today before you.
Great, thanks, Mr. Caldwell. Good morning.
Good morning, and Mr. Caldwell, thank you for the kind words. So Act 57 was signed into law July 11th, 2022, and it became effective 90 days later, or October 10th, 2022. And it requires taxing districts, such as Montgomery County, to pass a resolution or ordinance within 90 days or by January 9th, 2023. So the Act amends the local tax collection law, specifically Section 7, titled Effect of Failure to Receive Tax Notice. Prior to this Act, taxpayers were responsible for paying the real estate taxes even if they did not receive notice of the tax bill. So Act 57 creates a limited exception to allow new property owners to have costs, fees, penalty, or anything else that's added above the face amount waived within that property owner's first 12 months of ownership. The property owner is, of course, still responsible for paying at the face value. So pursuant to this Act, the Department of Community and Economic Development has created a form for property owners to submit to tax collectors or to the Tax Claim Bureau whenever that form is received. The form is subject to the penalty of perjury and requires that the property owner attach payment of the real estate taxes at face value, a copy of the deed showing ownership, that of course showing that the ownership changed within 12 months, and stating that the property owner did not receive written notice of the tax bill. If this form is properly submitted along with the required payment, all additional costs, fees, and penalty above the face value of the bill is required to be waived by the taxing district or by the Tax Claim Bureau, depending on timing. Any
We'll put a motion on the floor and then see if there's questions.
Thank you.
I will move that Montgomery County hereby adopts the full provisions of Act 57 of 2022 and directs each of its tax collectors to provide for the waiver of penalties and costs for taxpayers who have purchased a property within the previous 12 months but have not received proper notification of their tax bill in accordance with the requirements of the Pennsylvania local tax collection law. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Mr. Glassman, thank you for that. So this is, just to be crystal clear, this is only in that first year of new ownership.
Correct.
The presumption being that the new owner just simply may not be aware of the timing of bills or that sort of thing.
Correct, or that due to the transfer being submitted to the recorder of deeds, being the deed recorded and the Board of Assessment records getting updated, that there may have been an opportunity where ownership occurred, but the Board of Assessment there was a delay in the Board of Assessment records getting updated, and therefore the tax collectors may not have sent a bill to the proper party, and this kind of cures that potential defect that occurs.
Got it.
And we see from time to time on Tax Claim Bureau.
Sure. And so once that first year is passed, though, the owner then is expected to know what is coming and to cover that.
Correct, and I believe that's one of the reasons why the form from DCED requires a copy of the deed be attached to show that it's 12 months from the ownership and that you're within that 12-month time frame when you're submitting the request to waive the additional fees, costs, and penalty.
Okay, great. Any other questions? No? Okay, all right. Hearing no additional comment or questions from the board, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next, Mr. Stein, we have a TEFRA approval for the Holy Child School at Rosemont.
Yes, request under the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act of 1982, brought by the Montgomery County Industrial Development Authority, who's seeking to issue $19 million worth of bonds on behalf of the Holy Child School at Rosemont. The bonds will be used to pay back previously issued debt, and there's no other construction included in this project. And as always, there is no obligation on the county.
Thank you. I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, hereby approve the project for the Holy Child School at Rosemont as described in this resolution and approve the issuance of bonds by the Montgomery County Industrial Development Authority for financing of the project. Be it further resolved that the approvals and declarations in this resolution shall in no way pledge or otherwise obligate the credit or taxing power of the county, nor shall the county be liable for the payment of principal of or interest or premium, if any, on any obligations issued to finance the project, nor shall the county have any obligation of liability whatsoever with respect to the project. This resolution shall take effect on the date of adoption hereof. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we have a Hurricane Ida disaster declaration extension. Mr. Stein.
Yes, as you will recall, around the 1-year anniversary, we did extend this declaration for an additional 60 days. Those 60 days will be up next week. We're seeking to extend it for an additional 60 days while we have closed out most of the work related to the disaster declaration. There are still a few items outstanding, and we are still working with FEMA on certain reimbursements.
I will move that we, the undersigned commissioners of Montgomery County, pursuant to the provisions of Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code as amended, do hereby declare the existence of a disaster emergency in Montgomery County. Be it further resolved that we direct the Montgomery County Department of Public Safety to coordinate the activities of the emergency response, to take all appropriate action needed to alleviate the effects of this disaster, to aid in the restoration of essential public services, and to take any other emergency response action deemed necessary to respond to this disaster emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we'll have our personnel report from Ms. Pardieu. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioners' Department's personnel list. It is a 3-page document dated Wednesday, November 2nd, with 2022, with a timestamp of 9:30 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Pardieu. I will move to approve the November 3rd, 2022 personnel presentation as given by Director of Human Resources, Ms. Donna Pardieu, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to advertisements of RFPs, bids, and ITQs from Ms. O'Malley.
Yes. An RFP on behalf of Health and Human Services for Program Evaluation Services. The successful responder will provide a drug and alcohol prevention and youth mental wellness program evaluation. Contract will be awarded to the highest rated responder. 2, an RFP on behalf of Public Safety for disaster debris clearance and removal services. The successful responders will provide a no-cost standby contract with disaster debris monitoring services to complement activation of the current debris management plan and to work alongside the county's debris removal contractor on an as-per-emergency incident basis. Contracts will be awarded to the highest-rated responders. 3, an RFP on behalf of the Recovery Office for grant management software. The successful responder will provide a software system that will enable the Recovery Office to create workflow communications with funding recipients, collect data for compliance reporting, organize grant-funded project status, and analyze and report on funded projects. Contract will be awarded to the highest-rated provider. An ITQ on behalf of Assets and Infrastructure for furniture and installation services. The successful responders will be included in a list of qualified providers for upcoming bid solicitations for furniture and installation services in relation to the Justice Center project.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding request for the advertisement of RFPs and an ITQ as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we'll move on to advertisements of bids and RFPs for the Southeastern Pennsylvania Task Force.
Yes, an RFP for a regional training and exercise plan. The successful responder will provide a series of training courses focusing on incident management and position-specific training for the regional counties. Contract will be awarded to the highest-rated responder. All RFPs, bids, and ITQs are available on the county's purchasing website at www.montcopa.org/purchasing.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding request for the advertisement of an RFP for the Southeastern Pennsylvania Task Force as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, awards of contract for Montgomery County.
Yes. 1, contract award, Human Resources, Employee Benefits, multiple providers. Dental Insurance Premium, Aetna Incorporated, $2,100,000. Vision Insurance Premium, iMed Vision Care, $2,000. Long-Term Disability Insurance Premium, the Hartford Life Insurance Company, $182,000. Life Insurance Premium, the Hartford Life Insurance Company, $205,000. Unemployment Compensation, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, $400,000. Unemployment Claims Administration's TOPS Corporation, $15,000. Health Advocacy and Employee Support Services, Health Advocate Incorporated, $28,800. Health Advocate EAP, Health Advocate Incorporated, $33,000. Medical Insurance Premium, Independence Blue Cross, $30,500,000. 2, contract award, assets and infrastructure, bridge maintenance, Roadcon Incorporated of Westchester, PA, $765,630. Contract provides for maintenance, repairs, and other associated work required for 4 Montgomery County bridges. County Bridge number 69, Sumneytown Pike, over branch of Talmenson Creek, Upper Gwinnett Township. County Bridge 73, Sweetsford Road, over Wissahickon Creek, Upper Gwinnett Township, and Lower Gwinnett Township. County Bridge number 118, Keith Valley Road, over Park Creek, Horsham Township. County Bridge number 295, North Deeds Mill Road, over Ridge Valley Creek, Southford Township. Specification 6486 was viewed by 14 providers with 4 responses received. Contract is awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. 3, contract award, Information and Technology Solutions, Enterprise Licensing, CDW Government of Chicago, Illinois, $10,041,669.06. Contract provides for licensing of all Microsoft products used throughout the county. The contract period is valid for a 3-year term beginning November 1, 2022 through October 31, 2025. Licensing is available through a PA CoStarz contract. 4, contract award, Purchasing Flags, Metro Flag of Wharton, New Jersey, $55,393.92. The contract provides flags for use by the members of the Southeastern PA Counties Cooperative Purchasing Board. Specification 6488 was viewed by 22 providers with 3 responses received. Contract is awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. The contract is for a period of 1 year with 4 optional annual renewal terms. 5, contract amendment, Assets and Infrastructure Engineering, Traffic Planning and Design Incorporated of Pottstown, PA, $31,230. The original contract provided design and engineering services for the reconstruction of Bridge number 38, Moreland Avenue over Pennypack Creek in Hatboro Borough. Amendment provides for extensive coordination with Verizon regarding the relocation of Verizon facilities. 6, contract amendment, Assets and Infrastructure Engineering, Benoni Associates Incorporated of King of Prussia, PA, $6,100. The original contract provided a detailed study to determine if dredging of the Deep Creek Lake in Green Lane Park would be required to preserve the longevity and environmental integrity of the lake. The amendment provides for the preparation of the revised NPDES permit application and additional coordination with the Montgomery County Conservation District for the Deep Creek Lake Restoration Project. There is 1 contract, 8 contract renewals, and 9 amendments for Health and Human Services. Providers and services are listed at the end of the agenda and the back of the room.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, awards of contract for assets and infrastructure for major construction projects.
Yes. 1, contract amendment, Construction Management Services, Skanska USA Building of Bluebell, PA, $709,568. Original contract provided construction management services for design of the Justice Center project, including construction of the new Justice Center facility, renovation of existing court buildings, and renovation and expansion of Hancock Square, as per RFP 1659. The amendment provides staffing for guidance, management, and data collection for the project's community participation program. This program offers assistance to local, small, and disadvantaged businesses and local residents to participate in contracting and employment with regard to the Justice Center project throughout the duration of the project. Installation of management of the project site monitoring and progress camera system. Additional utility discovery and documentation. Additional areas were identified that required utility exploration and mapping services. Additional lead coordination based on design that coordinated lead documentation across contractors, design engineers, commissioning agents, and regulatory bodies throughout the duration of the project. Cost and constructability review for domestic relations office space design revisions. Due to changes in work mobility, additional office space was identified within the Justice Center for Domestic Relations Office, alleviating the need for additional space for this office in other buildings. These amended costs are included in the existing budget lines and will not increase the overall budget of this project. 2, contract amendment, assets and infrastructure, architectural and engineering services, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill LLP of Washington, D.C., $1,333,473. Original contract provides architectural engineering services for the design of the Justice Center project, including construction of the new Justice Center facility, renovation of existing court buildings, and renovation and expansion of Hancock Square, as per RFP 1654. The amendment provides staffing and systems resources for structural design, modeling, and coordination. Structural steel modeling is not typically included in architecture and design RFP specifications, though the county will include this going forward. Structural modeling completed by the architect of record is a construction project best practice because it mitigates construction coordination issues that arise when multiple prime contractors are responsible for steel engineering and construction. This process will result in cost and time savings as a result of earlier and more accurate steel quantity and order placement, material cost and labor savings through optimized engineered design, and mitigation of change orders in the field. Additional staffing resulting from the delayed NPDES permitting process due to the extended duration of the process beyond public standards. Redesign of domestic relations office space at owner direction. Due to changes in work mobility, additional office space was identified within the Justice Center for Domestic Relations Office, alleviating the need for additional office space for this office in other buildings. Additional construction administration staffing to account for construction contractor performance issues. Additional support is needed to deal with contractor issues in Phase 2 to ensure compliance and immediately address issues that could lead to delays or increased costs. These amended costs are included in the existing budget lines and will not increase the overall budget of this project.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board questions?
I have comment.
Sure.
I'd like to point out that the original contract with Skanska started at $5 million. That's now gone to $14.5 million. And the original contract with Skidmore, Owings and Merrill started at $16 million. That's now increased to $27.5 million. And in my opinion, this level of spending is entirely too high, and I'm opposed to these expenses.
Ms. O'Malley, just to clarify, this was all, I don't know if anticipated is the right word, but it is within the original budget of the project, and that
Yes, it
these
is.
changes will not impact
The overall budget.
the project, which is still on budget, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. All right, any other comment? Okay, then we'll move to a roll call vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Motion carries. Next, we have awards of contract for Southeast Pennsylvania Regional Task Force.
1, contract award, computer equipment, Rugged Computing Incorporated of Anaheim, California, $118,088.44. Contract provides for 100 refurbished Panasonic Toughbook laptops for Delaware County. Laptops will be used by Delaware County for the mobile data terminals. 2, contract award, software licenses, Graywall Software LLC of New Haven, Connecticut, $43,631.25. Contract provides a renewable subscription to the Virtual Emergency Operations Center on the Internet software for the City of Philadelphia. Software provides licenses and service support for the Philadelphia Office of Emergency Management. Software is proprietary. Contract term is 8/7/2022 to 8/6/2023.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract on behalf of the Southeast PA Regional Task Force as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Any closing commissioner comments? No? Okay. Then I will announce 2 upcoming meetings. The first is an election board meeting tomorrow, Friday, November the 4th at 9 a.m. And second is our next Board of Commissioners meeting, which will be November the 17th, 2022. And I will move to adjourn the November 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative votes? Meeting is adjourned. And we will convene Salary Board. Welcome the Controller to the dais. Ms. Co-Francisco, is there any public comment on Salary Board? Okay, then Ms. Pardieu.
Good afternoon, members of Salary Board. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. It is a 3-page document dated Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, with a timestamp of 9:30 a.m. Of note, we have 2 retirees, Timothy Halsington from Public Safety after 22 years, and Joseph Kawako from the Sheriff's Department after 19 years. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for salary board consideration.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the November 3rd, 2022 salary board presentation as given by Director of Human Resources, Ms. Donna Pardieu, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn the November 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative votes? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure.